Hey guys, this is Casey Haines here. I'm with my brother, Tyler Haines,
What's up?
That's Why We Boys, and we're here on the podcast for the people from Movement 33. So, first and foremost, Tyler's my younger brother. Older brothers always win. I just got to get that one out of the way.
Man.
But
I got a younger one too.
but me and Tyler, so Tyler and I also have a younger brother. So Tyler gets the taste of being an older brother as well. But Tyler is recently on a new adventure. It's called That's Why We Boys, and it's that'swhyWeboys.com, and he's going to get, tell you a little bit more about how all that goes. But what's cool about this is that me and him had both talked about, our respective paths, and me with Movement 33 and sort of the podcast for the people idea, and him with his shirt company that's coming out and kind of the mission of that. And without us really talking about it beforehand, they were both pretty much in the same line of thought.
Oh yeah, definitely linked up. The movements for both sides, no pun intended, were definitely on par. It was funny when we were talking about it. Where were we at on the way to?
I think we were on the way to Taylor's.
Somebody's birthday. Yeah,
Taylor's birthday party.
Birthday party. Yeah, we were in the car, and it's funny how it linked up. So That's Why We Boys it's a t-shirt company right now. It's starting up as just t-shirts. Go check it out. That's whyweboys.com. T-shirts available. Website is still up and running. It's still under construction, but t-shirts available, as I said. The cool thing about the t-shirts is I got 60 cities right now, more cities to come. So check them out. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. But the more products to come as well. So there we go.
So what's the what I think is cool and how it links up with That's Why We Boys and Movement 33 is the agenda and what the t-shirts are representing. So talk about that. Like what is your what brought this to light? How did this come about? What was your thought process?
So it really started out as a statement phrase that we would use between my friend group when someone did something good or good for somebody, or kind of had somebody else's back, whether it was congratulating them or thanking them. So it was that's where it came about. But on top of that, I wanted to take it further because I wanted to show some sort of commonality, some common denominator between everybody. And I really wanted to kind of break this continuous separation that's going on right now with all different sides. There's a lot of heat coming from everywhere. That being said, TWWB, That's Why We Boys, is a perfect unification message in my opinion. It's simple, it's understandable. There's many ways that it can be portrayed and said. I
think Mom said it. Didn't Mom say it the other day?
She did. We text about it all the time. I hit her with it, and then she hit me back. So check out my Instagram at _TWWB_ as well. You can go check out that post. She actually she hit me with it, so I had to show it.
That's funny.
Trying to show people how to use it, so.
That's really funny. But I think what you said, and that's, what my first podcast for the people kind of revealed, was finding just a common denominator amongst, any various backgrounds. And that's something that I think, and we agree on, that the world kind of needs right now. Absolutely. So it's cool to have, people doing that in different outlets, whether it's t-shirts or it's this podcast or anything else that anybody's coming up with. So what I thought was cool, and the way that Tyler described this to me, and this kind of is also going to more relate to my theory behind these podcasts with just having conversation with people. And, we don't get the opportunity to have uninterrupted conversation very much. No. So what Tyler's doing is kind of, what Tyler's doing is he's creating a message or creating a filter that basically creates knowing somebody without any conversation.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like for example, I'm walking down the street and I have on my "That's Why We Boys" shirt, and then somebody else is walking down the street, and we're the city that I would probably have on would be Philadelphia, and someone else walks down and they have the "That's Why We Boys" shirt, the TWB, but theirs is like Washington, and they're in on vacation or something. You know, simply by representing the clothing company, you kind of take on the message that entails it. So it's cool, man. Like, you know, I think it's something like 65% of communication is nonverbal.
Absolutely.
You know, so just play off of that a little bit, right?
In the first 10 seconds, you know, you
yeah.
People may not realize it, but you know, they are quick to judge in the first, you know, 10, 15 seconds, even first 3 seconds. You know, it's tough to create something that falls in between that time frame, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I went with clothing, because, you know, that everybody that's another common denominator, you know. There's a lot of those commonalities that I want to address.
Mm-hmm. I think it's good because, you know, for the most part we all wear shirts
on a good day.
But also, the first thing that we're going to notice on somebody is their appearance. And so if the first thing that you're noticing on somebody is a positive similarity, instantly you're just, you know, you have something to talk about. Like I catch it a lot with people, you know, in CrossFit or in yoga, or I'm newly learning, anybody who eats a plant-based diet loves to talk about their plant-based diet. Like, I talk about this shit all the time. Yeah. Yeah. And it's cool. But anyway, you know, you have this commonality, this similarity that's a positive similarity that you can bond over. And what's great about that is when you look at the converse, a lot of times what will end up happening is we're very quick to notice differences about each other. So if I'm walking down the street and, you know, in my regular clothes and someone else has the regular clothes and it's a person of a different heritage or a different race, your thought is, you know, and this is a general statement, but immediately the thought might be, oh, they're of a different background than I am. And then you kind of look for differences and you look for things that are changed about them. Oh, like they like to wear Nikes, but I rock Adidas. Yeah, you know, you notice these little different things without noticing that, you know, maybe you're both carrying, or like, you know, you're both headed to an Eagles game, right, and you like the same team, or, you know, something that creates similarity amongst each other before noticing differences. And this is where that judgment comes in. And I think there's a lot that happens with this, and we fall into labels that a lot of people will give us. And it's bullshit, man. You can't put a label on somebody without knowing them or without knowing their likes, their hobbies. But we do this within the first, I think, like 5 seconds is a pretty accurate time frame that we create these labels about someone. You know, so by using this first line of sight, this first form of communication that you're going to have with a person to create a positive message in that is freaking awesome. You know, and it's those little things, I think, that change, that build over time, that create momentum, and that, you know, create a solid foundation of us, like, making that a regular practice in our lives.
Definitely trying to make it, I say this to people a lot when they ask me what it is, and I say a lifestyle brand, and not many people know what that is. You know, it's, so when you take it, it's a lifestyle. You know, it represents a message, it represents a cause, it represents also the brand aspect. You know, it's clothing, it's fashion, it's accessories, it's water bottles, it's wristbands, socks. You know, it's all that stuff that people have. Excuse me. It's
like
all
appearance.
That, you know, yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's all
first
that
impressions.
That's what I was looking for. That first impressions. You know, so not only is it the lifestyle part, in my opinion, the more important aspect of what I'm trying to go after, because I think, like you said, people are almost quicker to point out differences and go after those rather than, you know, point out similarities or try and find similarities. And that's not, I don't think that's a fair way of going about things. That's not how everything started. It's not the, in my opinion, it's not the long term.
It's not the way to do it, man.
Way to do it, you know.
Dude, I get into that conversation all the time of, you know, there's definitely, I don't know if there's a perfectly right way to do things in the world, just, you know, in society and culture and whatnot. I don't know if there's a perfect way, but there's definitely a more right way than what we have going on right now.
Right.
You know,
everyone's educated enough. There's enough tools out there to be familiar with, just like we had talked about earlier today at the gym, the 5 or 6 basic you know, human life skills.
That was too funny, man.
Points.
That conversation was too good.
It was, the conversations we have at the gym are awesome. At the video.
But so what, that one was good, and basically what we were talking about was, you know, what if there was a way to communicate to people that essentially we all have the same necessities, or the same, you know, dreams or beliefs. We just represent them, or we just found them in a different story. You know, we all share this commonality, you know, and the topic that we were discussing was more like religion, right? Religion and beliefs, spiritual beliefs.
Right.
Yeah. And so what we were saying was that there's a big difference in a lot of the stories, or there's noticeable differences in a lot of the stories that religions convey their beliefs through. However, when you really just get to the bare bones of it, they're all essentially saying the same thing. And this is like, a lot of, you know, people will ask, you know, are you religious or spiritual or whatever it is, you know, that kind of thing. And like, I wouldn't say I'm religious. I'd say I'm more spiritual, but that doesn't mean like I negate any certain religion.
Right.
You know, I think people can choose whatever the fuck they want to choose to believe in. That's up to them, and no one can tell them not to. But I think there's we were talking about these underlying messages amongst all of them, no matter how different your story is, or how much, whether you believe in, like, you know, karma or Christianity, or if you're a Buddhist or whatever you are, if you're Jewish, whatever it is that you choose, all of these share that similar commonality. And the commonality essentially is just, you know, the same as you got to choose what you believe in. Someone else gets to choose what they believe in, and we're not pushing it on anybody. And we're, in doing so, by accepting that simple rule, that simple fact, we're now opening our minds up to being more accepting of the people who might believe in a different, you know, religion or spirituality than us. You know, because spirituality or religion really does, it really drives people's lives, and it drives people's you know, actions and all those types of things. That stuff happens all the time, you know, because people are going to do what they believe in. And so if everybody, you know, simply finds something that they believe in is the first step, they accept that other people have the ability to find whatever it is they want to believe in, but they also accept the most important thing here, which is that everybody's story or everybody's religion, everybody's belief system that they have is essentially saying the same as the next, which calls for, you know, peace, treat thy neighbor as you want to be treated, or, you know, contemplating and meditating through ideas and learning about life and asking a divine power or a higher power or anything that you might believe in. They're all essentially stories and guidelines that we take to achieve this peaceful life and a fulfilling life.
Towards the same tunnel. They're all going.
So if the end goal is all the same, you know, how can we be unaccepting of everybody just liking a different story? It's the same as liking a different movie. Like, I fucking hate scary movies, you know, but I don't get mad at people who do. You know, it's whatever story you like to see. It's whatever story you like to believe in. And that's really what we were getting at, is, you know, just what's that commonality. And it was cool commonality. And it was cool because, you know, the podcast for the people, or That's Why Boys, both are representing that. So it's a cool conversation to have.
And it happened out of nowhere.
It happened out of nowhere. Yeah, completely random. We were talking about the future.
Right.
And then we were saying, like technology and whatever. But then it came up, what are we going to do about the future that is really going to make an impact, And I think it's a good goal. I don't know if we'll see like this eternal or like, ultimate peace or whichever in our lifetimes, but it'd be a shame if we didn't, start it. Yeah.
It's definitely something to shoot for, and there needs to be a new way of doing things now, because there's almost too many ways of doing things now. We almost need to consolidate a little bit, consolidate the ideas together.
I think what you like. I think it's okay to have like options of things, but if we like
the returns.
Yeah, like if we, rather than getting so expressed on like, what separates each one from another,
right?
Have all the options that you want, but let's just worry about what really matters.
Right.
There
needs to be.
That's cool, man. I think it's something that is like a slow start, but it's something that I think we can do now. Like I was talking about this before, that we have more power basically and faster, and it's easier to convey any message to mass media that we want. We didn't have this ability even like 10 years ago.
Oh, no way. Way.
So it'd be a shame not to use it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you got the Facebook, Instagram, all that it's being used for unfortunate purposes.
That's powerful, dude.
It's also being used for the right purpose, It's unfortunate, some of the stuff that goes on the social media websites and apps, but it's also, we wouldn't be where we are today with half of the stuff. So you almost got to be grateful and also got to realize that it can hurt us.
Sure. I read an article, and I think it was from the Dalai Lama. It was either Dalai Lama or it was Deepak Chopra. But essentially what they were saying is, it's going to be kind of human. It's up to us to decide what technology does for us. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, and it doesn't have to be a good thing, or it can be a bad thing, or it can be a good thing. It's a great, tool that we have, and essentially technology is just an extension of humanity. Like we were talking earlier, a microphone is just an extension of the human voice, or a car is an extension of the human legs to, travel with, or a fork is the extension of a human hand. So technology all around us is human, or inherently has human characteristics to it. So even when it's so easy to sit behind a keyboard and talk shit to somebody, that's an extension of you. And if you're doing it, on somewhere where they can see your name, that's really you, because they know who it was. But but regardless, there is humanality and there is human quality and all this kind of stuff. So you wouldn't necessarily call someone a bitch to their face if you were trying to make fun of them, but we'll easily call someone a bitch, like on AOL or AIM or whatever it is, Facebook, I don't know.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up. I always try and tell people what is the lifestyle, the message that you're trying to represent with That's Why We Boys. Like, there's got to be more. There's got to be. And at first, I didn't really have an answer. I didn't really know. I like people telling you like what's going on with it. People would ask me. They'd be like, what is the underlying factor of TWWB? And I would say, I'm trying to represent commonality, common denominators, and all that stuff. But they would be like, okay, that sounds more like a mission, but what are you trying to accomplish? And he's like, and I finally got it when I was just asleep. I woke up middle of the night, probably normally like I always do, and I want people to act like they're always on camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about it. when you're on camera, you don't do like, I don't know how to explain it quite yet because I just
like
found it out.
The big brother
you know
feeling,
what I mean?
you know?
You know what I mean? But when you know you're not on camera, there's some shit that you might not do when you are on camera. So I thought about that and I said, wow, that's how I want people to act. I don't want people to act like the guys on TV that you see on TV that go and act a fool, because everyone that's TV, okay? They're paid to do that. Okay, that'll be a different topic though. They're paid to do that, okay? You know what I'm saying? Don't go act like that. Go act like you would be, on camera for a job interview, or
it's,
something.
That's like mean? The question of who are you when no one's looking?
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing when no one's around?
Put that into effect. You know what I mean? But now, because you really could be on camera all the time.
You might, dude.
You might really be on camera all the time.
We're not filming this podcast right now, but we might be on camera.
Right. So hopefully we find it.
Don't they can tap like computer cameras,
something like that,
and all that kind of stuff.
So that's what I was thinking. Man.
That's
you know
crazy.
what I mean? That was the direction, the mindset, the attitude that I want people that wear That's Why We Boys clothes, that wear the sweatshirts, the sweatpants, or have the backpacks, the hats. Whenever you put a piece of my clothing on, act like you're on camera. You know what I mean? Act like
not like
you're
a show though.
not like fucking Grand Theft Auto, or some shit like that.
What if someone's on camera, they put themselves in like Mad Max?
Right. Like
tearing up the town.
Come on, you can't do that. But I'm saying, I don't know. I haven't
as if
seen
someone,
anyone,
or like as if like your grandma's watching you, or like as if it's. I think it's just an accountability. It's an accountability that we're kind of losing. That needs to be brought back, and there's like genuine. That's how it's there's a genuine feeling that equates with that, and it's not somebody who's only being nice. I'm only holding the door for you because like the news camera's filming or whatever it is, or like someone who essentially is acting out of their lifestyle or out of their true characteristics. For whatever negative reason that it ends up being, I think it's really easy for people to hide who they truly are and act in outlandish ways or whatnot because there's a weird roundabout way that's them being more accepted than just being who they are. It's a lot. If you find something that's wrong with yourself, or say you have insecurities or whatever, you're not going to act like your true self because you think those insecurities are going to come out. No. So you might act some kind of crazy way, doing something or other, thinking that you're like elevating, but
because you're trying to focus on.
But you're not. Yeah.
You're almost making it worse.
It has to be. You have to accept what you might see as flaws, because not everybody's going to notice that. And I think that's a part of it, or that's kind of how I like to look at it.
Right.
Is, when no one's watching, you're probably singing, dancing, like having a jolly old time in your kitchens, like sliding around like fucking Tom Cruise or something. But then, you don't really talk when you get into a crowd. So being your genuine self, I think, is the best way to go about any of that, whether it's you holding up to proper characteristics, as in if you see somebody who drops $10, you give it back to them rather than just keeping it because no one's going to see you keep it. Right. Or you go the other way and you say this is who I am, this is this is me, take it or leave it, man. If you're not okay with it, then you get the fuck out of here. Right. And I think that also plays into like, be who you are, or have good character even when no one's looking.
Right.
That's kind of how I like to look at it, as a good way to like unite all different types of people through this like message of TWWB.
it definitely is going to be a message that keeps evolving and building into different lifestyles. It's going to evolve into different activities. It's going to evolve into different religions, because TWWB is going to be something that thinks broad. It's not gonna look at every little puzzle piece. It's gonna look at the whole puzzle.
I think that's a good way to put it. It's cool, man, and I think it's something that it's weird. It's so weird because we're sitting here and we talk about, how easy it is to to mass communicate certain things through the internet or Facebook or whatever it is. But it seems that because of this, and I think this goes back to, actually, now that I'm thinking through this, I think this goes back to noticing differences first rather than similarities, is even though we have the ability to reach so much more people, you'd think our circles will get bigger and broader of people who, will take care of us or support us or that kind of thing. But it's very much, I think, going the opposite way, and there's a lot of seclusion and a lot of a lot more
separation and crowding out.
Separation, moving out, tight-knit groups in sort of a negative way, because they might get together on a common denominator that's negative, or something along those lines. But should we avoid this? Should we avoid seeing people's differences so much faster than we notice their similarities? I'd be willing to bet that people's support groups would get bigger, because you're making more friends that way. Because I think even if we have 10 things that are different about us, we probably have 30 things that are going to be the same, because everybody's kind of looking for that same fulfilling life.
Yeah,
the outlet that you have is different, but the feeling is the same.
Right. When you think about it, there's a lot more common there's a lot more common things in between people that are considered completely different than there are differences.
I love those videos of little kids.
About it, when you really go in depth with conversation, and you don't ask and you don't ask the questions that you want them to answer a certain way or something like that. You know what I mean, you don't lawyer their ass. You ask them questions that are neutral, almost. That can go both ways. And instead of trying to find those differences and similarities, or those differences, just be open.
I love those videos, the little kid videos where they interview these little kids, and they have, just for example, a Hispanic kid standing next to, a Chinese kid, or a white kid standing next to a black kid, or something like that. Just kids from different races, primarily, or backgrounds. And they say, why are you guys friends? And the little kids just look at each other, and they're just thinking, well, we're the same height, I guess. And then they're we both love chicken nuggets, or whatever it is. Right. And it completely plays on the fact that, this learned behavior. It's a learned behavior to be judgmental of people.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a learned behavior. It has to be. Because, when you look at the interviews of these little kids, man, it's it
comes with opinions.
Yeah, it's totally opinion. And what's crazy is when the opinions that are out there are going to be the negative ones, what do you have to choose from? You're basically choosing the worst of the worst. So creating these similarities and creating these, positive options to have, it's only going to get better. It can only get better. It has to.
It's almost like setting them up for failure and taking the young kids out of the natural element.
Yeah. And that's how it gets done, man. We said this earlier too, changes like this, or acceptances like this, or peace like this isn't going to probably happen in our lifetime, but it could happen in the future lifetime. So think about, what's your influence? What are you leaving behind?
Right. And do your part.
Yeah. What's even as small as something as just, having the conversation, you're bringing these ideas out into light, into the universe and stuff. So, I don't know, fucking hold the door for somebody. Like, it just starts with those little things. It starts with one thing and then another. And that's how it gets started. And then, someone sees you do it. I love that Pay It Forward movie too. That's a thing too.
Well, that's why I say
Pay It Forward.
All the time, when you do something, go buy, you go to Wawa or 7-Eleven, go buy the person's coffee in front of you.
That's crazy, man.
I'm not saying.
You ever do that and then just double check how much they have?
Yeah. I look. I definitely look. I think my max is like.
Wait, are you buying lunch for the office?
Right.
I'll get the next guys.
If they're getting the hoagie, I might get the person behind me. You know what I mean? Like
anybody getting? Is anybody getting just a coffee?
And especially the dollar.
Anybody getting a dollar coffee?
Right now. Yeah, I got you. I got anybody on a dollar coffee.
Oh, that's awesome.
$1 coffee's good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have
spread
to be,
positivity a little bit at a time.
Baby steps. So
that's awesome.
But it's
I think it's cool, man.
Start somewhere. Dude.
I think it's doable, and I think like there's got to be. I mean, you and I had this idea completely separate of each other, and I know that there's many people out there who have this idea too. So
it seems to be sticking.
Voice it. You know what I mean? The more you voice this kind of stuff, the more it gets out there. It's cool.
I was definitely very surprised. Because like I said, it just started out as a friend's statement. A group of friends. That just came.
Yeah.
It just happened, and there was more to it. So I figured, why not? And give it a shot. So.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants to be their own boss too. So.
Yeah, that's the perk.
That's another thing.
That's a good thing. Being your own boss is nice.
Yeah.
But it's tricky though. I was talking to a guy earlier. I was talking to Tony earlier at the gym, and we were talking about this actually, and we were saying, being your own boss is nice, but the common misconception is that, the higher up the ladder you move, the less you have to do. That needs to be switched. And that's a problem too, man. Like you think about corporate America and all that kind of stuff, the higher up people get in the ladder, the more vacation days they're getting, the more money they're getting. They have, I don't know, maybe they have a little more of like responsibility, I guess. I don't know, but not even, what I mean? They'll delegate.
Now,
I think you can, but here's the thing. I think you can, but equate it to a sports team. Any great sports team that has had a great captain on that sports team, that captain gets voted in based off of their work ethic. There's a lot of bosses out there that I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't vote to be their boss.
Right, but at the same time, it is very hard being a boss. I'm sure not everyone wants to. Like
your decisions, you have higher stakes.
I'm sure not everyone wants to. It's tough firing people. It's tough. Doing that stuff. There's definitely, it's higher stakes for sure.
I think you can I guess you can justify it that way because. Like the president, can you think about the magnitude of, presidential decisions? Probably can't fathom it.
It's insane.
Just the mere fact, regardless of your politics, not heading down that road. I just mean the magnitude of decisions that are gonna affect a pretty large amount of people. It's crazy. So there is high stakes. I get it. I just I find it too much of a commonality. That I think there's more bosses out there who are being lazy because they're the boss and delegating.
Right.
Just delegate, get somebody else to do it.
And that's wasted. Yeah. I do agree.
Yeah. I don't know. It's so gray though. It's such a great thing. But I think I've listened to talks there's a guy named Simon Sinek. I've listened to him talk a couple times, and he has that awesome book. It's called Why Leaders Eat Last, and he does an awesome a TED Talk. I think it's a TED Talk on this also, and he just discusses, basically how do great leaders become great leaders. It's because they are willing to, sacrifice for others, and, metaphorically and quite literally back in the caveman days, let other people eat first.
Right.
And it's not the person that people are gonna follow or feel like empowered by isn't the person who's bullying them to get the best piece of steak. It's the person who's giving it to the next person and taking care of people, which just creates support, which is nice.
Right.
But it's interesting, man. I think where was I going with that? I mean, that's a good message in itself. But we were talking about work. We were talking about corporate, like, ladders, or like the generalization of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the higher up you get, or the more you accept more responsibility. But I think with that types of responsibility, it has to come with a stronger work ethic. Because even if you're working your way up to the top, you had to have some sort of work ethic to work your way up to something.
Right.
So that's in there, but it gets lost along the way for a lot of people.
With that being said, there's probably one of the few books that I've ever read. It's called The Slight Edge, and it is a great book. And in that book, he has a chapter that stuck in my mind forever, and it's based off of a 3-line hierarchy, I guess you could say. So the bottom line, the first line is, you could consider somebody's rock bottom 0 or not where you want to be, and then the middle line is, okay, I'm comfortable, I'm okay now, I'm doing well, but and then the third line, the top, is, okay, I'm good, I'm satisfied, whatever. And then people forget what takes them from that first line to the second line, or the first step.
Yeah.
People forget those,
like when it was hard for you.
They forget those little things that they did because they got a little taste of that, that bread.
I think
line, and then it's so hard to get to that third line because people forget. You might get halfway and then drop back down.
Because you get lazy, or you get content, or complacent. You get complacent.
Right. So it's people forget those little things, those little tasks that you do to jump yourself from the first level to the second.
That's how you gotta. I think that's true. I think you gotta. You hear people talk about all the time, like, oh, I'll never forget where I came from, and at the same point, they go back once they, an NFL player, an NBA player goes back to the old neighborhood and, puts on a charity something or other, or helps out families or that kind of thing, and those are the people that are successful, and that's good, man. I think that's a good thing. I think also it's important, when you're, talking about leaders, when you're, what makes them a great leader is they don't forget the middleman. Like Captain America, man. Captain America, I love Captain America. He was like a twiggy guy, but he had good characteristics. And so then they gave him, the physical power to back it up.
Right.
That kind of stuff, or, and so it's that little, not forgetting about where you came from, or not forgetting who helped you out, and then being the person for somebody else. That's the big thing, and if you talk to anybody who has done 12 steps, the last step is to help somebody else,
right?
Because you're given a lot of, hopefully you're given a life of recovery, or those types of things, if we're talking about the 12 steps. But the most important thing to do is to return the favor, to pay it forward, like what we were talking about earlier, paying it forward. And that's what makes a good leader. I think that's what makes a good boss, and that makes it, that makes the person that you're willing to come in for extra hours on a Saturday for. You're willing to, stay an extra hour late working on whatever boring report or something like that, because that they would do it for you. Mm-hmm. Look at the Marines or the Army, or the forces. They all say, why why would you go running into, like, you're getting shot at, why would you go running in and like grab people? Well, because they would do it for me.
Right.
So it's just like, It's this bond that we can create without even saying it. That's the other side, is the nonverbal communication. Without even saying it, actions are going to speak louder than words. And when people, if you're in a leadership position or if you're working up to this, never forget this. When people see you doing something, when people see you putting your money where your mouth is, and when people see you, you know, leading by example, it's like, it's way better than any smoke you could blow up somebody's ass. Yeah. You know, you can tell somebody till you're blue in the face how much you care about them or whatever, but, you know, they're not going to know it until you actually do something. You know, that's the smoke that gets blown, I think, a lot of times, and people need to see, you know, physical evidence of, you know, claims or like care or support as a leader being backed up. Because otherwise it's just bunk. Then you're just talking like an asshole. Right. Yeah. Everyone's you know. Then you lose. You're not trustworthy, and people pick those things up, man. Like, we always talk about animals' senses and like instincts, but humans have it also. You know, you ever meet somebody and you have like a weird feeling in your gut? Yeah. Or, you know, people's joints start to hurt when it rains. That's a physical thing, but that's like an instinct of how we know it's about to rain. Or just look up to the sky. But you know what I'm saying. It's an instinct. We talk about animal instincts all the time. Well, the human animal has some fucking instincts, man, and we still operate. I think it's your hippocampus in your brain that operates like your Paleolithic sort of character or whichever it is. If anybody's a brain surgeon or like a neuroscientist, you know, fill me in on the science. But I think it's along those lines. There's a nerve like a nucleus in your brain that controls your instincts and like your most primal things. So we still operate on that kind of stuff, you know. And that's why nonverbal communication is so important. So it's the physical evidence or the physical sight of seeing people do something does something to like it does something to our subconscious. Like shit we can't even actually think about.
TWWB t-shirt, you know that they're on the same wave.
There you go. Yeah. You know, it's really just just mind control. If everybody rocks these TWB t-shirts, it's just you're under mind control.
Right. I'm not. Well, I mean, hey, I don't want to control people because I can barely control myself sometimes. But you know, that's what I'm trying to accomplish, man. You know, it's at first sight, you know. It's
a good ideal, man. It's a really good ideal.
So we gotta check it out. I'm actually met with somebody last night to try and get together an event in Westchester. So be aware for
that'd be cool.
An event in Westchester. At one of these bars and clubs. So stay tuned.
That'd be cool. Damn. I get myself fired up when we talk about stuff like that.
Could go for days.
Like really fired up. That's funny. We'll wrap up. TWWB. That's why we boys.com. Spell it out.
Go check it out.
Yeah, go to it. What's your Instagram?
@ TWWB_. All lowercase. And
shirts are for sale right now.
Shirts are for sale.
More stuff coming.
You can send in pre-orders. I got winter clothes coming very soon, so stay tuned on the website.
Different cities. If you have any suggestion for a city too, right?
Please,
send it on an email or something.
Check out, scroll all the way to the bottom on that website and send me
a
suggestion.
You can see all of them.
You know?
Yeah.
There's definitely an area for those suggestions. I'd love to see them. Check out those skylines too. Some of them are pretty cool.
Yeah, you can get pretty much any skyline created.
Oh yeah, there's 60 of them right now. I got the big ones, and then I'm gonna chop away at a few more. And we'll go from there. My favorite is Albuquerque though. Go check out
Albuquerque.
The Albuquerque one. Yeah. Albuquerque's pretty cool. Wichita.
What was the one? Cool. San Francisco has the Golden Gate Bridge in it.
Pretty cool. Yeah,
that one's cool.
It does. Pittsburgh's pretty cool. Jackson, Mississippi. Shit, I didn't even know Jackson, Mississippi was pretty cool. I got Las Vegas on there, so Las Vegas. Las Vegas.
You can get them customized too.
You can get them customized. Girls Cut's coming. It's coming soon.
Oh, there you go.
They're all unisex.
Dogs can wear them.
Dogs can wear them. My dog has. She loves it.
Yeah.
Not at all, actually. But so yeah, go check it out. I actually just got word that I had to take down the sign outside.
Did you?
Yeah,
I was wondering how long that was gonna last.
Well, I didn't know that.
Tyler put a that's. This is how awesome it is. This is the commitment.
Look,
this is the commitment
committed,
level.
y'all.
The commitment
I'm
level
ready to go.
was Tyler lives in a townhouse on the corner, so there's nothing on the side of his house except like side yard.
Had my own building.
And he got a big banner. It had to be like a 6 foot by like 2 foot banner. Like it was huge, and hung it on the side of the like townhouse complex. Basically,
to my side.
It's awesome. It was a great idea.
HOA got me.
They should have let you keep it up, man.
I know.
Tell them you'll shovel your own driveway and let them keep it up. You know?
I gotta get them to the website. Tell them I can get them like some HOA T-shirts.
HOA discount.
Like, yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Let them know that I got that discount. Right, Talks.
But all right, that's whyWeboys.com.
Check it out, Movement 33. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, we'll catch you next time. Try to get at least
Enjoy.
one of these a week.
Hold the door.
If you want to, reach out to me, team.movement33.com, or I mean at gmail.com or movement33.com. It's all on there. Get on the podcast, man. Everybody's got a voice, and we all got to use them. Last words? See you next time.